Laptop. Ok, bien, bien. Y muy buenos días, buenos días. Feliz lunes, happy Monday. Feliz lunes, creo. I think it's a happy Monday. I hope it's a happy Monday. Ooh, and almost tax time too. Woo! Día de impuestos. Mi hija, mi hija estaba trabajando con sus impuestos. My daughter was doing her online taxes for the first time with a real job. Yeah, that was fun. Once in a while, you get somebody coming out of a room. Hey, I got a question. If you got a question about taxes, I'm not the person to ask, by the way. But anyway, okay. Bueno, vamos a ver. We're going to open actually today we're going to work with some of those odd verbs that have go, yo, conjugations. More specifically, just so that you know, in case you call up a screen, I'm going to pull this up right away because sometimes you may need to grab a piece of paper if you print, or you may need to pull up that second screen. Yeah, these two questions are going to be specifically the things we're going to be using today. Poner y hacer, and we're going to do quite a bit with hacer because hacer is wow, es útil. It is a very useful verb, and it's used for lots and lots of stuff. So anyway, that is the one screen you will probably want to have available. But we're going to start off with something that's an easy listening comprehension to kind of break in our morning. And it should be pretty easy to understand. Some of you who are newer, haven't really used gustar very much, will probably revisit gustar this spring, just because it's always kind of a bucky verb, a difficult thing. But she's going to talk about el desayuno. She's going to be talking about breakfast. And I'm going to put my sound on so you can hear. So we're just going to do this as a listening comprehension. Just go for the big picture, the easy to understand stuff, the main idea. And I have to see here if I have a...
No sé por dónde empezar. No sé qué comer primero.
And you're going to hear her using this no sé, I don't know. But she's going to be talking about her breakfast. So easy stuff to start out.
Me parece que la banana no.
Oh, y por cierto, by the way, because she is Argentine, you are going to hear her using an odd word for pineapple. So listen for that. Just know it's a regional thing.
Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Agustina, soy de Argentina y hoy yo estoy en un hotel. Son las 8 de la mañana.
So there's our time phrase. Yes, son las 8. It's 8 o'clock.
Y yo voy a comer el desayuno del hotel.
So you get that Argentine thing from her because she's from Buenos Aires. So instead of desayuno, it's desayuno. Yeah, you're going to hear that je thing with her because she's from Buenos Aires. And they get the strong je for everything that's a Y or a double L. Just know that that's the way she pronounces it from where she grew up.
Yo tengo hambre. Yo quiero comer.
I want to eat.
Vamos. Bueno, chicos, hay muchas comidas para comer. Primero yo voy a comer fruta. Tengo una banana, tengo uvas, melón y tengo ananá.
Anana. Anana is a different word for piña. We generally use piña in most of Latin America and Spain, piña for pineapple. And there is the one odd fruit that they've got a regional word for, anana.
Para tomar, primero voy a tomar agua.
Tomar. And instead of using tomar as take, she's using tomar for drink. Tomar means to take or to eat or to drink, depende del contexto. It depends on the context. Here she's using it for drinking, but she'll probably use it for eating as well.
Muy bien. Y bueno, voy a probar el
Uy.
melón. Y bueno, ahora vamos con el ananá. Está muy bueno. El ananá está mejor que el melón. Vamos con una uva. Está bien. Y la banana, está... Me parece que la banana no. Ahora vamos con el segundo plato. Ahora voy a comer comida salada, como la sal, salada.
Salada. Salada es una descripción o comida con sal with salt is called salty. Salty food is salada, comida salada.
Para la comida salada tengo un huevo como frito, tengo tomate, tengo queso, también tengo unos morrones amarillos.
Here she uses a different word too, morrones, chiles or pimientos, pepper. They use morrones in Argentina, morrones.
Y una de mis comidas favoritas en el mundo, tengo champiñones.
Champiñones, mushrooms.
Todo. No sé por dónde empezar, no sé qué comer primero.
I don't know what to eat
Bueno,
first.
primero el tomate. Vamos con un poco de queso.
Let's go with a little bit of cheese.
Muy buen queso. Probemos el huevo ahora.
And probar means to taste or sample or try out.
Vamos a comer huevo con morrón amarillo. Me gusta. Y por último, champiñón. Muy bueno. Muy bueno. Ahora pedimos un omelette. Este omelette tiene huevo.
And notice they pronounce omelette. That comes from French and they don't really change it. They keep it omelette. See, pedimos, we're ordering. Okay, pedimos. It's a we verb. And pedir means to order. So pedimos un omelette.
Obviamente. Y adentro del omelette tiene
Inside the omelette.
Queso y champiñones.
Tiene queso y
El omelette
champiñones.
es de mi papá, pero yo voy a probar.
It's not really her omelet. It's her dad's. Yeah. Es de mi papá. It's my dad's. Yeah. That apostrophe S we can't do in Spanish. So it's de mi papá, de, and then the person it belongs to. So es el omelette de mi papá. It's my dad's omelet. Pero yo voy a probar, but I'm going to taste it. Voy a probar.
Probarlo. Voy a comer un poquito.
I'll eat a little bit. Probar is to try a small amount.
Yo no soy muy fan del omelette.
Yo no soy muy fan del omelette. I'm not a big
fan. A big fan.
omelet. Yeah. No soy muy fan. I'm not very fan. Fun is a word that a lot of people in the Spanish speaking world use. You know, fanático sounds like fanatic, but fanático can be used for fan. Aficionado can also be used for fan, generally for things like sports. If you follow baseball, you follow football or soccer. Fanático or aficionado can be used, but a lot of times they shorten it to just that word fun. And to say I'm not a big fan, no soy muy fan. Muy fan.
A mí no me gusta mucho el omelette.
I don't like
Entonces,
omelet so much.
Sí, pero está bien.
Yeah, she's
Y
kind of
a
in the
mí
meh
me
mood.
gusta mucho el queso y los champiñones. Entonces, este omelette está bien. Lo último que voy a comer son las cosas dulces. No son saladas, no tienen sal, tienen azúcar.
Azúcar,
Tengo
sugar.
un waffle y tengo...
Dice waffle. Wow. This is again a borrowed word, waffle. Así es. Okay, so.
Tengo unos frutos secos.
Frutos secos is dried. Yeah, dried fruit. Seco es dry. Frutos secos are dried fruits, okay?
Tengo nuez. Tengo
nuts,
almendras.
almonds.
Las almendras me gustan mucho. Y también tengo avellanas.
Avellanas,
Además,
hazelnuts.
tengo un poco de Nutella para comer con el waffle. Para tomar tengo agua, pero también tengo un café. Es un macchiato con un extra shot de espresso.
E shot. You see, shot. There's another borrowed word. Some of these are borrowed just because they are, okay?
Vamos a probar el café.
So we're going to taste, try out, probar.
Está fuerte. Sí,
Está fuerte. It's strong, yeah.
Fuerte, como pega.
Oh, pega means this. Está fuerte, pega. Wow, it really has a punch. Literally is kind of what you're saying, because pegar means to either glue something onto something else, or pegar also means to hit. So it hits you, meaning that caffeine is strong because you got the extra shot, right? So como pega, wow, it's got a kick. It's got a kick, we might say.
Pero a mí...
You can say that for the spicy stuff too, or no? We can use that or no?
Qué buena pregunta. What a good question. Well, yeah, you could. Generally for spicy, the preferred word is pica. Pica, P-I-C-A, P-I-C-A, pica mucho. Pica mucho means it stings a lot, which, yeah, it's a similar idea to pega, but instead of hit, they use picar. Picar is to sting, to be spicy, and so pica is spicy, more likely.
El café.
Is that where picante comes from?
Yeah, that's where picante comes from. Pica and picante are related. Picante is a description, but if the food packs a punch with spice, in the spice department, then you say, sí, esto pica. Wow, this stings. Literally, it's like saying, this stings. Sí, la salsa pica mucho. Wow, this salsa is very, very spicy.
Mucho sabor a café. Vamos a probar el waffle. Está bueno. A mí no me gustan mucho los waffles. Los waffles no son mi comida favorita, pero está bien. Ahora vamos a probar una avellana. Ahora una nuez.
Nuez is just a general word for nut, often for walnuts. They'll use
Y
that.
por último, mi favorita, la almendra. Las almendras son las mejores. Las
Almonds are the
almendras
best.
acá. Después la nuez.
Acá, they're up here. Acá, they're up here. Almendras. Después la nuez under that, you know, number 2 favorite, la nuez, walnut.
Después la avellana.
Y avellana.
Bueno, voy a comer todo. Bueno, chicos, yo estoy llena. Yo comí
Estoy llena. I am
Full? Is that full?
full. Oop,
mucho.
I ate a lot. Cheese is a past
Ahora
there.
yo voy a caminar y a ver la ciudad.
What's she going to do next? She tells us what she's going to do.
Going for a walk.
I'm going to go walk and eat, ver la ciudad, and
See the city.
see the city.
Voy a ver Zagreb y no
Zagreb.
voy a comer. Basta.
I'm not going to eat. Basta, enough. Enough of that. Okay. Vale, magnífico. Algo de desayuno. Como ejercicio de calentar is a little warm-up thing there. Okay, bien. Siguiente. Next. I want to see, before we start our verbos irregulares, antes de empezar con los verbos irregulares, I want to see if you had any leftover questions from this video that you had for homework. How to spell a gringo? ¿Hay alguna pregunta?
Marilyn,
Sí.
I had a quick question about the video we just watched, and
okay.
not so much about the verbs, but she referred to the audience as chicos.
Mhm.
I always think of that as children, and
It
I wasn't
is.
sure. Okay.
Hey, kids.
Okay.
Hey, kids. You know, in that instance, she probably doesn't know exactly who her audience might be. It might be teenagers. It might be, you know, that's designed as being an easy kind of video to listen to. Chicos can be used even for sometimes, you know, okay. ¿Por qué se usa chicos? Why does she use chicos? She herself is in her 20s. And when 20-somethings refer to each other, they'll often still use chicos to, you know, supposing there are people about her age watching. That's a likely thing for her to use to talk to her audience. Okay? Bien. Bueno. Any other questions? Otra pregunta. Any other question about that little gringo video? Anything you didn't quite get or you're kind of puzzled about or no? No? Bien. Okay. Muy bien. Bueno, vamos a ver. Vamos con verbos irregulares para yo. We're kind of focusing on some of these go verbs. I do want you to notice that in the breakfast video, she also used another verb that's irregular just for yo. Yo sé, I know. No sé, I don't know. No sé or no lo sé is for I don't know. Yo sí sé, I do know. And sé, S-E with an accent mark over the e, sé is the irregular form from saber, to know. Okay. Y los verbos con go. We're taking a look at these go verbs. We focused a lot last week on salir, to go out, going out as in dating, going out of a building, going out of an area, going out of the city, or to leave, salir. So if we're focusing on the place we're leaving behind when we go out, it's salir de, right? To leave from a place. And then we're emphasizing the place we're leaving behind us. Yeah. But you might hear salir a. The preposition a means to, in a direction. Salir is a verb of motion, obvio. Okay. So if you say you're leaving to go to a place, and if the emphasis is where you're going to wind up, where you're going to end up, when you leave or go out, we use a, salir a. Entonces, salgo de mi casa a las 9. I leave my house at 9, meaning I'm talking about what I'm getting out of my house. See? Salgo de mi casa. I leave my house. Pero, salgo al aeropuerto. I'm leaving to go to the airport. Okay. We can also use another preposition, con, to say you're leaving with, or you're going out with. Salgo con mis amigos. Con is with. You might be talking about who you leave with, who's accompanying you. So there might be different kinds of prepositions. And just get used to the idea of a means we're telling a destination where we'll wind up at the end of that journey. De means what we're leaving behind. And con might be with. Okay, so we use those different words with salir. But today we're going to focus on hacer, to do or to make, and poner, to put or to place. We're going to start with the easier one first. Poner, to put or to place. And this means you're putting something on top of something else, or you're putting something maybe even on your body. Okay. And all of these and others get an odd go for the yo form. Can't tell you why, they just do. All right. So all these get a G-O, but the G only occurs with the yo form, and that G will not reappear in other conjugations. So poner, pongo, we've got the go. But in other instances of using poner, it'll just use the regular ER type verb ending. So pones, you put something someplace. Pone, he or she puts something somewhere. Ponemos, we're putting something somewhere. Pones is the tú, the plural of tú that they use only in Spain, and ponen, they put. So you can always use these little endings as clues to tell you who is doing an action, right? The naked vowel here always says only one person is doing it, and the S at the end is always a tú, and the mos is always a we, and the N is always a they type form. Okay, so we've got pongo, pones, pone, ponemos, ponen. Bien. Hacer, which we'll practice with later. Hago for I make or I do, because it has two meanings, hacer, to make or to do. Haces, you make or you do. Hace, the form for él, ella, usted, sí. Hacemos, we're doing or we're making something. Hacen, they're doing or they're making something. Hace is kind of a special form. That's why we're going to leave that for later, because hace is used in many, many more contexts, in many more situations, which may be kind of variable. So we're going to leave that for the second practice. Okay. Bien, bien, bien. Hacer y poner, hacer y poner. Y aquí, here we're going to practice. We're going to start with our poner issues. So we're going to take a look at what all of these things mean. And then I want you to practice a little with people in a smaller group answering these questions. And when you get into the small groups, I want one person to take the job of asking the question, and I'll probably have you in groups of 3, and somebody else who is not asking the question should answer. Okay, so most of these are going to be questions directed to you personally, which means 3 of them. 4. If we get a tu form of the verb in a question, you've got to come back, or the expectation is you're coming back at you with a yo answer. A tu verb in the question is generally asking for a yo answer, right? Like, go, what are you putting on that omelet? If you're putting something weird on the omelet, right? Somebody puts mostaza, mustard on their omelet. You'll look, Guy, ¿qué pones en el omelette? Wow, what are you putting on that? Yeah. And they expect a yo in the answer. Okay. Bien. But if the verb in the question doesn't have a tu form, it means it's asking somebody else. It might be asking ustedes, you guys. It might be asking about a group of people, about one person. Ponen here is going to ask about jóvenes. So I'm going to underline these that you can see what it's referring back to. So let's look at all these questions before you go into your breakout groups. ¿Qué pones en una ensalada? What do you put
In a salad.
in a salad? And that there's no one right answer for that, right? It'll vary according to who you are and what you like. Bien. Okay. So, but we need to come back with a yo form in that verb, right? ¿Qué pones en tu cartera? What do you put in your wallet?
In your wallet.
And there are different things people might keep in that wallet. Yeah. See, ¿qué pones? What do you put in a sandwich? So that'll vary according to who you are and what you like, right? Do know in different countries, they have preferences for that word sandwich. Sandwich, everybody understands. In Central America, you may hear sandwich. The preferred word may be instead sanduche. Yeah. In Spain, the preferred word is often bocadillo, which kind of means a mouthful. Yeah. So different regional words, but sandwich, everybody understands. And not what do you put? What do you put? What do you put? We're showing you how you can use different interrogatives. Not what you put, but
Where?
where. ¿Dónde pones el celular por la noche? Where do you put your
Cell
cell phone at
night?
And I can tell you that where my husband puts it is different than where I put it. Where my kids put it is different than where I put it. Así es. That's why we've got that question. And then we're going to repeat our donde, where. ¿Dónde ponen el celular? And now we're not asking you about yourself. We're asking about
the kids.
right, young people. And yeah, los jóvenes means young people. People in their 20s, people in their 30s. If you're over 40, don't use joven because no longer strictly speaking in the category. If you're 70, you might think, wow, 40 is looking pretty good now, but los jóvenes means young people. Okay. Bien. So in this case, con número 5 with number 5, we're not going to change into that go form, right? If I'm asking about young people, I need to come back or respond with talking about those young people. So the verb will stay the same in the answer. It's just that how we respond to this donde part, of course, may change. Okay. And this last one is kind of a tricky one. Se pone, when I use a se pone, it means where does one put? Meaning any old person in general. Yeah. In English, sometimes we say, where do you put, or what? And I'm not sorry. This one is not a where. This is a what again. We flip back to the what. Que se pone? What does one put? But that sounds kind of formal in English. What does one put on one's sandwich? Now, usually we say, what do you put on your sandwich? Meaning maybe not you in particular, you, but you in the very general sense of the word you. And so here I give you a prompt. When we use se pone to say one does this, we respond with the same thing, se pone, one puts. Any old person puts this stuff always in that thing, right? So that one's a little bit of a trick one. I am going to send you into your small rooms with...
Before that, can I have a question on the last one?
Sí, claro.
When you post that question like that, and then is that what that means? Is like the whole thing as a sandwich, or the burger itself? That what is in the burger, like the spice and all the stuff. So what does that mean on that?
Oh,
on that question,
it could mean any of that. You might like,
any specific
you
thing
might
on that
stick,
thing,
you
or the
might,
whole
sure,
general?
maybe you chop up onions and you like knead that all into the hamburger first.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just what you put on top of that hamburguesa.
So it can be any of the answer. It doesn't matter.
Wide open.
Okay.
Wide open. Sí, claro. Yeah. Because that's kind of a very general question. So that means you get to answer that any way you feel like it. Bien?
Sí.
Okay. Bueno, vamos a ver. We're going to go with some groups here. Let me create some breakout rooms. Okay. And do not worry if you're in a group with someone who you feel is a little more advanced, or, this is designed to be easy kind of questions to kind of just dive in. Again, I will send those questions into your breakout rooms. You will see them in your rooms after you hit your join buttons. It will let me do that. Now I need to hit my share screen button. Okay. Bien. Okay. Vale. Uy, ¿cuánto tiempo debo poner aquí en mi reloj? How much time should I put on my watch here? Quizás 6, maybe 6, 7, 7 minutes. Más o menos. Okay. We'll have people coming back a little bit different times. Bien. Era suficiente? Was that a good amount of time or shorter, longer? About right.
No, so it's perfecto.
Perfecto.
We
Bien.
finished and started again.
Ah, okay. Okay. I get some people who say, oh, it was too fast.
Not first.
And then other, yeah. So depende. It depends. Okay. Aquí vienen los demás. Ah, here comes everybody else.
We had a question.
Sí, dime. Do tell me.
For number 5, the answer ponen el celular, would it be plural because it's their phones? I mean, it would be in English. I just didn't know about Spanish.
Oh, the celular?
Yeah. Would-
Okay. Yeah. A lot of times we say,
their
where do they put their phones? Because you're talking about a bunch of people. Yeah. But a lot of times with things like this, they'll put it in the singular.
okay.
Like they'll say, oh, oh my gosh, it's raining. Let's all put on our coats. The logic, if it is such, is that everybody wears only one coat. So in this case, everybody has only one phone.
Okay. That makes sense.
Así es. So it is. Yeah. You know, why it is that way, I cannot tell you, but that's kind of the thing behind it. Okay. Bueno, ¿hay algún ejemplo? There's some example or some question that you had coming out of that, or was that pretty easy to do? ¿Fácil o no? Bien, más o menos, more or less.
More or less, we did have a question about a particular item in a
Okay.
salad, salad dressing. So we looked it up and it looked like it was aderezo para ensaladas.
Adereza, sí.
Is that correct?
Sí, correcto. Sí, bien. Muy bien, sí. Eso es correcto. Bueno, okay. And actually, an idea related to that, generally when you travel, and I don't know if it's like this in Mexico or not, I haven't paid attention to it, but I know in Spain, that idea of salad dressing as per such, adereza is fine, but a lot of times what is put on the table is vinegar and oil. And it's expected you'll just use both of that. I mean, that at least used to be a thing for sure. Okay. Bien.
So what is the right? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, go for it.
All right, being gentleman, thank you. So I just wanted to know about the right word for this. Is it correct? Like a nightstand is called la mesita de noche.
La mesita de noche, sí. Mesita de noche es night table.
Nightstand?
We would say nightstand. Yeah, we say nightstand. And the way they say a nightstand is it's a tiny table
Small table.
that you don't like eat breakfast at it, but it's right next to your bed, right? So the little table that's next to your bed is mesita, because it's a small table. Ita makes it a small mesa. Mesita, sí, mesita de noche, mesita. La mesita, just la mesita, even by itself works. Sí,
Okay.
eso es. Okay, por ejemplo, mi celular no está en la mesita de noche. No, mi celular está en la sala. Cuando, sí, por la noche, at night, por la noche. Mi esposo, sí, pone el celular en la mesita. He puts it on the nightstand, sí, en la mesita de noche. Mis hijos ponen el celular. Mis hijos ponen el celular en la cama. No lo soporto. I just can't stand that, pero es así.
Typical.
Sí, en vez de tener un animal de peluche, no, 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 no. Duermen con el celular. You know, just in case that really important friend wants to text them at 2 a.m., which
That's
what if-
important.
sí es importante para ellos. It's important for them. Bien. And I'm going to share with you the word that folks had asked about. I just want to try to make it bigger. Uy, a ver.
And while you're doing that, I want to defend your boys, at least sort of, that back in the day when I was a kid in New York, so on the East Coast, and the baseball teams would be playing games out on the West Coast, I had to put my little transistor radio under the pillow so I could listen to the game very, very late at night.
Ah, sí, sí, sí. Escuchabas, you used to listen, escuchabas a escondidas in silent. Yeah, because mom usually didn't like it when you did that, I'm sure. Yeah. Depends on your age. Depende de la edad. Yeah, depends on the age. Here's a little word somebody asked about for salad dressing so that you know how it's spelled. Aderezo, aderezo. See, y el ejemplo, and this is from word reference so that you know when you need to look up a word because you need to know how to say avocado because that's what you put on your burger or whatever. See, Peter mezcló la ensalada con el aderezo. Aderezo es salad dressing. See, the liquid stuff you put on top of a dressing. Okay, or on top of salad. Bien, bien.
Patrick, what was that last site that you had word?
I was trying to take a picture.
Oh, sí. A ver. Okay, momentito. This is the most useful little dictionary for people who are beginners for sure. This is called wordreference.com. And if you just type into Google space wordreference.com, it'll bring that up. That's what it is. It is a wonderful little online or wonderful big online dictionary. And the wonderful thing about it is that it always gives you a context. So here's a great example. Sometimes in English, we use the word dressing for something you put on top of a salad, but we might use dressing as in the idea of something you wrap around a wound. Wow, my kid crashed on his bike and I had to put a bandage around his arm. That's not aderezo, that's dressing. Somebody would look at you like, what? But look at, in English, we've got different. And why do we use the same word, dressing, to talk about what you put on your salad and what you use to cover a nasty gash on your arm or your leg? I don't know why we use that in English, but we do. So if what you mean is a bandage, they show you the other usage. Vendaje is our dressing you wrap around a wound, and also dressing, the process, meaning the action of putting clothing on and jewelry on and everything else that you use to get ready, is something else entirely, vestirse. So it always gives you a context clue, which is why that is a fabulous reference to have. Yeah.
So if you say French dressing is like a aderezo de Francia?
Aderezo francés. I'm not sure. Qué buena pregunta. What a good question. Sí, en Estados Unidos se usa el término el aderezo francés, French dressing. Sí, porque hay sabores. There are these different flavors. Me imagino, sí, aderezo francés, de estilo francés, French style. Quizás, sí. Dressing there tends to be more of a plain type, although I'm sure they have other kinds of dressings as we do. So, okay. Bien. Aderezo francés, de estilo francés. Bien. Okay.
We had one other question, or we looked something up. I just want to confirm that there isn't maybe a shorter way to do this, but on the second question of what goes in a wallet, one of the items was a driver's license.
I'm sorry, which thing? The number two, number dos?
Question,
Wallet.
right, and driver's license was the,
Oh, see. Yeah, you might hear different words used for a driver's license. It might be licencia, which sounds like license, licencia de conducir, licencia de manejar. It might be el permiso, a permit. It might be said as carnet. Carnet is kind of a very European word to talk about a card, which, gives you permission to do something. So you might hear, depending on the region you're in, different words, but licencia, everybody would understand. Sí. Bien?
Okay.
Okay. But you might hear permiso, a permit, because that is used in some places too.
Do
Okay.
you have to specify that it's a driver? Like, we had looked it up and we had found licencia de conducir.
Es buena idea. It's a good idea. Mi licencia, if, you can drop the de conducir generally in that kind of situation because everybody knows you're talking about your driver's license. Yeah. Sí. Probably just licencia would work. Okay. Sí. Okay. Bueno. Otra pregunta. Any other question? And this is good. You're coming back with questions after the answers. That's what you should be doing. Todo bien. All good. Okay. We're going to seg into sigamos con. Let's continue with. Let's take a look at let's preview our next questions. Hacer is a little more problematic than poner. Hacer is a little more problematic in terms of meanings because we use this in a different way than hacer. Hacer just means to put or to place. Hacer has more than one definition in Spanish. Hacer means to make or to do. So when they use haces in a question, it might mean, do you make something? Or it might mean, do you do something? Okay. The one thing hacer will never be in Spanish is this idea, and I'm going to put a never here. Do you? This do that we use in English to signal, I'm going to ask you a question because that's what do often signals, do and does. For example, en contexto. Do you put cream in your coffee? Do you ski or do you ski on snow or do you ski on water? Do you like almonds? Do you work at home? How many rooms do you have? All of those do, or it could be the word does, are used in English to signal, I'm asking you a question. But in Spanish, we never use hacer for that purpose. Okay? We don't use it to signal a question. We don't use it for that in Spanish. It will straight up mean make or do. Okay? Hacer will straight up be make or do. It might also be used for weather. We're going to get into that later. But let's take a quick look. Okay. Perdón. Yeah. And if you have to take a call, remember to mute yourself when you go off to take your calls. Okay. Las formas. Hago. Here we've got that go coming back. Hago. Right? Haces. Hace. Hacemos. hacen. If we want to get really, really fancy here, aquí, right? Hacéis. This would be the form they would use in Spain for the plural of tú, but you don't have to use that. We generally don't use the vosotros form here in Latin America and China, Spanish. Okay, vamos a ver. Let's take a look at some questions with hacer. And hacer, we'll get a couple of forms because sometimes you actually do an activity, in which case we'll keep hacer, but sometimes hacer will be asking just in general what you do. So in other words, sometimes we will use a form of hacer to answer the question. Cuando haces ejercicio? Hacer ejercicio means to exercise. You need those two words together to say exercise. There are some regions where they kind of borrow that exercise and make it into a verb, but hacer ejercicio is generally accepted as exercising, right? To exercise. So, cuando haces ejercicio, when do you exercise? Literally, when do you do exercise? Okay, so you'll answer with a yo form of hacer, right? But we're going to need to answer with more information. We're asking when. So you're going to be talking about a time of day or an hour from your watch or a day of the week or nighttime or morning, right? Cuando is very general, when. So you can respond with anything that refers to when that is done. Cuando asks when. But we need to include the answer to that cuando part of the question when we answer. And we need the go form when we answer. Número dos, en tu casa, in your house. ¿Quién hace las compras? Who does the shopping? Hacer las compras, again, is used for doing a certain task. Here, hacer ejercicio is doing exercise. Here, it's doing shopping. Las compras refers to shopping, okay? ¿Quién hace las compras? Does shopping. Who does the shopping? It might be yo, it might be somebody else. It could be some shopping app. No sé, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to answer with whoever it is that does this activity. It might be yo, it might be somebody else. Okay. Bien. So,
Marilyn,
sí, dime.
can I ask you a question about, where you put your cellular phone? You said, donde? Okay, where do you put your cellular phone at night?
Sí.
Yeah, so if I put my phone somewhere else, how do I respond in that instead of on
Okay.
la mesa, no?
En la mesa, en la bolsa, in your purse. No.
Okay.
Bien. Yeah,
Right.
wherever it might be. Sí,
Okay.
sí. Bien. Okay. For these two, we can use hacer when you get into your groups, and we use hacer to talk about doing that activity, ejercicio, exercise, las compras, the buying of stuff that you're going to bring into your house, generally food stuff, but it could be other stuff too, like your laundry detergent, whatever. Okay, bien. For the second batch here, where we got the arrow, other times we use hacer to ask what you do, and it will require you to use a totally different verb. So in other words, you're going to have to pull the hacer out of that question and throw it away and plug in a whole new verb, right? You're not going to use hacer in the answer, but you're going to use whatever other verb makes sense. Por ejemplo, en inglés, what do you do at noon? And you don't respond, I do eat. You just say, I eat, right?
Okay.
At noon, I eat. Or at noon, I fix lunch. I make lunch, right? It could be I make lunch. Could be. Posible, right? ¿Qué haces a las 10? What do you do at 10? Oh, I do laundry at 10, right? But you might say, I wash the clothes. I wash the clothes. Lavo la ropa. Sometimes we take the word do completely out and we're going to plug in a different verb like lavar, wash something, like preparar, preparing something, right? Like leer, I read something, like trabajar, work, right? And we'll just put it into the conjugation to tell whoever does that activity. So sometimes when people ask, ¿qué haces? What do you do? ¿Qué haces? What do you do? ¿Qué hacen los jóvenes? What do young people do? Yeah. We're asking what they do, and we're going to have to take hacer out of that question and plug in a completely new verb. But we're going to plug it in the conjugation to talk about that person, whether it's yo or tú or los jóvenes or mi hijo or mi vecino or whoever it is you're talking about, right? So, ¿qué haces los lunes? What do you do on Mondays? ¿Qué haces los sábados? What do you do on Saturdays? ¿Qué hacen los sábados los jóvenes? What do young people do on Saturday? It might not be what you personally do, but it might be something else. ¿Qué haces hoy? What are you doing today? ¿Qué haces mañana? What are you doing tomorrow? Right? And we're going to plug in a different verb from tres hasta siete, 3 up to 7. We're going to plug in a different verb, likely, right? Rather than using hacer. But these first two, we're definitely going to use hacer in the answer. Does that make sense? Sí, es lógico.
Marilyn, can you give us a verb for Zoom or Zoom into?
For what? But
Zoom, like to zoom into this class.
oh, to zoom into this class. Ver con Zoom, participar con Zoom. Entrar, to enter a Zoom.
But it's not going to be like Zoomar.
No. You know what, though? I were to guess, if they were to invent one, which sometimes they do, because some of you know that, tuitear became to tweet. Tuitear from Twitter. Zoomear is probably the way they would say it. Zoomear. I have not heard zoomed used as a verb as we do in English now, but that may happen someday.
I'll bet it's coming. Just like we now use Google as a verb, not as a noun anymore.
And you hear people using as a verb googlear. I kid you not, googlear. Whenever they turn it into something, they always turn it into an AR verb. They just do. Googlear. You hear people using googlear or buscar en Google. But, yes, es así. Yeah, it's that way. Although, different apps are, Zoom may not become a verb. Okay. Just because they use different apps. Yeah. And in Europe, different things are popular. But I'll send you out with these. You will see these questions as you go out into your rooms. Is about 7 minutes enough? Or do you need a little more? Un poquito más. ¿No? ¿7?
Yeah.
Okay, bien. Okay, here you go. I'm going to send out your share screen. Aquí, ok. Bien, 7 minutos. Okay, casi llegó la hora. We're just back at time here to bring everybody back. Ok, a ver. Ok, a ver. Okay, aquí vienen. Here we come back. We're going to get some examples on those 3 through 7, 3 hasta 7. We're going to make sure we get some examples of that. Ooh, and I've got to.
That was difícil.
Difícil, ok. Ok,
Difícil.
sí. Era difícil, sí, fue difícil. Okay, vamos a practicar. We're going to take whatever questions you had and work that. That's why we come on back to compare notes, because some people will find it a little bit harder. Some people will find it easier. The part where you had to plug in a different verb might be kind of tough. Yeah, because you're plugging in something different and you may have a question. Es posible. Está bien, that's A-OK. Okay, por ejemplo, ¿cuándo haces ejercicio? When do you do exercise? We need to answer with what form of hacer.
Hago.
Hago ejercicio, and now I need to tell when. Hago ejercicio los domingos. Hago ejercicio todos los días, every day, todos los días. Hago ejercicio por la mañana, in the morning, right? There's a vast range you can use there. See? ¿Quién hace las compras? Who does the shopping? ¿Cuáles son posibilidades? What are some possibilities there?
Marilyn, before you jump to that question, back on the hago ejercicio. So I think you answered what our group wanted to ask you, but the last example you used was por la mañana.
Sí.
And for other times of the day, it would be like por los tardes, por la noche.
Exacto. Sí. Por la tarde, por la noche. Por la mañana, por la tarde, por la noche. Exacto.
And
In the morning.
And that's a preferred or a correct version rather than en la mañana.
You may hear en la mañana. Again, there are some regional variations. Some people may prefer to say en la mañana, and that's okay too. I'm used to por la mañana. That's what I'm more used to, but you do hear people using en la mañana as well. It doesn't make it wrong. But
thank you.
It's an alternate. It's an alternative way of phrasing it that's acceptable. See, you may give a specific time, like, a la una at 1 o'clock, a las 10 at 10. There's a wide range of possibilities. Okay. Vale, aquí. ¿Quién hace las compras? Who does the shopping?
I said, mi pareja y yo hacemos.
Y yo hacemos las compras. We do the shop. Somebody and I, anybody and I will be hacemos. Muy bien. Gracias, excelente. Depende, depends. We change that to be flexible according to tell who the story of who's doing it. See, hago las compras. I do the shopping. Mis hijos hacen las compras. My kids do the shopping. Mi esposo, or if you were a guy, mi esposa hace la compra. Las compras, sí, does the shopping. Sí, bien.
So nosotros hagamos, how do you say? No, not
Hacemos.
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 Yeah.
You may hear hagamos from time to time. That is a different form of hacer, but it's not the we form for present, talking about what is happening right now. That's all I want to say about that. Hagamos is either a let's do it or what they call a subjunctive. So keep it to, hago, haces, hace, hacemos, right? That go comes into the picture just for Joe.
Yes.
Bien. Okay. Now, I want to get some of your ideas for plugging in a new verb altogether, that 3 through 7 group. And it's a little bit better if I show our questions again here. Okay, por ejemplo, ¿qué haces los lunes? ¿Qué haces los lunes? I need to take haces completely out of that question. And if I want to talk about lavar la ropa, if I want to talk about washing clothes, because I do laundry, right? Lavo la ropa los lunes. And hacer needs to go, bye-bye. Yeah, just like it does in English. See? ¿Qué haces los lunes? Okay, possibilities. What were some different things you could say for that? Número 3.
Yo estudio mi lección de español.
Sí,
Los lunes.
estudio los lunes. I study on Mondays. Perfecto, bien. ¿Qué más? What else might you say?
Saco la basura.
Otra vez.
Saco la basura.
Saco la basura. I take out the trash. Sí, bien.
Practicar la música.
Practico la música. Practico. I practice. Practico la música. It could also be toco la música, but practico la música. Practice. Sí, exacto. Muy bien. ¿Cómo se dice I work on Mondays? Trabajo. Trabajo los lunes, okay? So we can plug anything in as long as it tells that story of yo. Okay, bien? Okay. ¿Qué haces los sábados? What do you do on Saturdays?
Voy al gimnasio.
Voy al gimnasio. I go to the gym. Bien. We take haces out, we plug in a yo answer, any old verb for what you do on Saturdays. Otra cosa.
Visito con mis amigos.
Visito a mis amigos. I visit my friends. Yeah. Visito a mis amigos. Okay. Visito a mis amigos. Or it could be visito con mis amigos. I visit with my friends. Es posible. Right. Pero generalmente visito, I visit. Visito a mis amigos. A mis amigos tells who you visit. You need an a there because they're human beings that you do the visiting to. They receive that action of visito. Okay? Bien. Bueno, voy al cine. I go to the movies. Voy al cine. Okay.
Clase de disciplinario de los perros.
Okay.
Clase de disciplinario de
Paseo.
los perros en la parque.
Okay. Paseo a los perros. I walk the dogs. Paseo. Paseo means strolling. Yeah? Pasear means to stroll. We make it a yo from paseo.
Para clase, a disciplinaria disciplinarian class, I was trying to say.
Disciplina, okay. Es más como entrenar. That's more like training.
Yeah, training.
Voy a la clase de entrenar. Voy a la clase de entrenar a los perros. I go to doggy training class. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Voy a la clase de entrenar. They would call it, they wouldn't call it discipline class, but they would be likely call it training class because that's what you're doing. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Bien. Now, if I'm not asking you about you, but I'm asking about young people, ¿sí? ¿Qué hacen los sábados los jóvenes? What do young people do on Saturdays? Now I can't answer with a yo verb anymore. I need to talk about los jóvenes, young people.
Hacen centro de comercial.
Okay, but they won't do downtown. Well, they might do, but ¿cómo se dice they go downtown? Van al centro comercial. Van al centro comercial, but no se can't be a yo. Van, they go. O, por ejemplo, pasan tiempo, they spend time. Pasan tiempo en el centro comercial. They spend time. ¿Sí? Okay, bien. Bailan en los bares. They dance at the bars. Sí. Okay. Ven a sus amigos. They see their friends.
Duermen todo los días.
Okay.
They sleep all day.
Sí. Bien. Sí. Cenan, they eat dinner. Cenan en los restaurantes, por ejemplo. Sí. Van a fiestas. They go to parties. Okay. Lo que sea, whatever it may be. Okay. ¿Qué haces hoy? What are you doing today? Ejemplos.
Salgo almuerzo.
Salgo
Con mi familia.
Bien, salgo al almuerzo. I go out to lunch. Bien. And then you tell who with, right? Con mi familia, my family. Sí, bien. We can even use present tense, plain old present tense, to talk about what will happen soon in the future, right? We can't use we can't use present tense to talk about a year away from now, but to talk about this week or tomorrow or Wednesday or in 5 hours from now, we might use plain old present tense. ¿Qué haces mañana? What are you doing tomorrow? Okay. Por ejemplo, mañana monto en bicicleta. Tomorrow I'm going out on my bike. I'm riding my bike. Nice. Monto en bicicleta. Monto, I ride. Monto en bicicleta. Bien? Okay. Bien? Okay. Otra pregunta. Any other question about that?
No.
Not bien. Okay. What I want to show you, because they're going to be kind of 2 levels of practice, and you're going to have to kind of judge this according to how much you know, although actually both videos are useful. Para tarea, because hacer is such a word that might morph into different things. This is the lower level, the easier video on using hacer. And she's going to actually probably build some other things that are like hacer ejercicio, where you actually do plug in hacer, not a different verb. But she's going to talk about how we use hacer to do things like I do Tai Chi or I do Pilates. Yeah. We can use hacer to talk about those kind of activities. And she'll talk about different ways of using hacer. If you're one of the folks who's more advanced, you might want to look at this, but this is a much harder video. So all of you will not necessarily find this helpful. Okay. If you're in the group that has come into this, this might be too hard. So kind of throw it out. Don't use this one. Okay, para que sepan, so you know. But a few of you, like 3 or 4 of you, or maybe even 5 of you might say, you know what, this is super useful. She gives a whole bunch of uses for hacer here, but there are lots and lots of them, and some of them use past. So this one, if you're a brand new person, do not go into this video because it'll be long and kind of difficult, right? And the very last thing I'm going to have you take a look at is we're going to take a look at how we use hacer with weather, because sometimes hacer we only use as hace to talk about qué tiempo hace. We use hace frequently and other verbs. So he's going to show you the other verbs you already know, but we use hace a lot to talk about weather. Okay, so because soon we're getting into the season of the only thing we can say, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. Because we can talk about a little bit of variety right now, only for the next couple of weeks. We're going to talk about how we use hace. So everybody watches this video describing the weather. He's going to talk about hacer and other verbs that are typically used to talk about weather events, what the weather is like. And you're going to have a different set of questions to prep, to use hacer to talk about regular stuff, and to use hacer to talk about weather. And actually some of those other verbs, but I'm going to categorize them into 2 separate sets of questions. One will just talk about weather. One will talk about hacer, like for every, the other uses of hacer from the easy video. Okay? ¿Está bien?
Sí.
We're good? Okay.
Sí.
Focus a lot on hacer for the coming week, because that is kind of a verb that has many faces, many sides, many different uses.
They use it a lot. Huh? They use it a lot.
Yeah, you see, es muy útil. It's very useful, but different contexts, and those different contexts and different situations is what we'll practice. But I'm going to give you some slides that will help step you through that from the easy video with hacer and from the weather video. Bien?
Sí.
Bien, okay.
Gracias.
Dale, magnífico. De nada, de nada, de nada. So it'll be kind of a 2-purpose, but it'll be a focus on hacer next week. Y así es, sí, eso es